Super Mario Bros. For the NES came out in 1985 and has been run as a speed game by countless runners. But today we are going to look at how the best of the best run this game, the exploits they use to break the game, and why spending hundreds of thousands of attempts on a video game from nearly 40 years ago strains their hands to the point where they consider quitting entirely. First, let's look through the structure of the run. You play through 1-1, skip through World 4 via the Warp Zone in 1-2, play through 4-1, skip straight to World 8 via the Warp Zone in 4-2, and play through the rest. Crazy to think that half of the run is placed on the very last section of the game, World 8. Yeah, some of you might think, yeah, I know these secrets already. But how they play through those 8 levels are fascinating. But before we dive into how they play those levels, because that part of the video is insane, I need to explain the aim of this speedrun. You might say, bro, are you dumb? It's in the name. You run through each level with as much speed as possible. Speed, run. But no, it's different. Super Mario Bros. Checks for a level completion every 21 frames, and since the game runs at around 60 FPS, that means each interval is around 0.35 seconds long. Think of it this way. When Mario reaches the flagpole and goes into the castle, he realizes that's not just a castle. It's a train station shaped like a castle. The next train would arrive every 21 frame interval, or a frame rule, and take Mario to the next level. This frame rule system is also neat in 8-4 because timing ends upon touching the axe. Since time starts when the 400 appears at the top of the screen, you may press start on the title screen at any point. The frame rule system is also why speedrunners wait a certain amount of time on the title screen. So the actual aim of the speedrun will be to get through each level on the fastest frame rule you can reach, not the frame. So if the limit is bang on the frame rule, you have 20 frames to spare, or a third of a second to still match it. You just have to get on the same train as someone who did play perfectly. Speaking of limits, there's something called a task, or a tool-assisted speedrun, where a person uses an emulator and uses frame-by-frame techniques to simulate the theoretical perfect time. Right now, the human limit is 454.265, and it has been like that for a couple of years. In 1-1, there are many notable tricks used in the world record. You exit the underground coin room at 380 on the endgame timer and do the first noticeable trick in order to master the task. What was that? Why didn't the flag go down? Because of something called the flagpole glitch. Sockfolder discovered a human-consistent setup that involves manipulating Mario's subpixels, the values in the game that tracks Mario's position beyond visibility so that Mario can clip into the block at the bottom of the flag. This tricks the game into skipping the flag animation and saves the frame rule, or 0.35 seconds, over the normal rule. 1-2 involves one significant trick, the pipe clip. Again, you will need to perform subpixel manipulation to clip into the pipe, which is also very hard because of frame-perfect inputs, and enter the warp zone to 4-1. And 4-1 introduces no new significant tricks, just the flagpole glitch at the end, which uses pretty much the same setup as 1-1. 4-2 is very interesting though. To reach the warp zone to World 8, you usually would need to climb the vine, except the vine animation slows you down. So how runners work around that is the wrong warp. The game doesn't track specific exit destinations via the individual exit zones, such as pipes or vines, but by using the position of the screen. This is exploited by keeping the screen at the area where it triggers the warp zone room and going through a pipe. But how do you keep the screen behind Mario's position? Mario can slide on walls in order to boost him forwards on the screen. You need 20 pixels to enter the pipe. Usually the optimal way is to snip into this wall. This trick was found by XX420 Blazed XX. But to save the task frame rule, you need to go further. Introducing lightning for this too. Usually a wall bump would give Mario a boost of 8 to 10 pixels, but in this method, it is required to get an 11 pixel bump, then a frame perfect wall jump here. That doesn't save enough frames to reach the next frame rule, so you will need to do multiple frame perfect inputs to do a fast acceleration. Now do you get why all the top level speedrunners are having issues with the handhelds? Now that we're in World 8, things start to get a bit crazy, if it already wasn't crazy enough. 8-1 involves a fast acceleration at the start and a very difficult flank coordinate setup to match the task frame rule. 8-2 involves something called a vulnerable glitch, where it also involves very hard inputs and subpixel manipulation to use the vulnerable to clip into the bottom of the flag. This also saves time over the regular flagpole glitch because it skips Mario having to walk to the castle. 8-3 involves a flagpole glitch too, but in 8-4, every frame matters. No more frame rules, they're just thrown out of the window. Fast accelerations are the key to fast times, and that's how speedrunners run this brutal speed game. But only a tiny amount of the hundreds of thousands of attempts end up finished. So is it worth it to be a top level speedrunner? Maybe you can find out the answer to that yourself. Maybe you will one day get the world record. Who knows? But whether you get the world record or not, or whether you already have the world record, thanks for watching.